All right, we are watching the moment that Donald Trump and Mike Pence shake hands and see each other for the first time since January 6th of 2021. It's been an awkward 4 years, and you can see this greeting right here is still equally as awkward. Mike Pence's wife refuses to stand up, refuses to shake either of their hands, and you can see the look on her face right here. She is absolutely uncomfortable. Now, Donald Trump sits down, and in 1 second, Obama's going to come into frame. And I just want to say, people on Twitter are saying that because Trump and Obama are sitting next to each other and talking, that Obama has essentially bent the knee and that he's one of them now. That is absolutely absurd. You guys know Obama. He is a respectful, diplomatic person, and they are at a former president's funeral. You are out of your damn mind if you think Obama is going to be a rude asshole while they're all on camera at Jimmy Carter's funeral. So I don't know what everybody expects, but when I saw people on Twitter saying that Obama is at fault and Obama is bending the knee to Trump, that is not what is going on here whatsoever. He's even being respectful to Mike Pence or Mike Pence's wife. There, it's funny because notice how Mike Pence's wife shakes Obama's hand. Boom, right there, shakes Obama's hand. But if we go back just a minute, she refuses to stand up or even look at Trump. Let me play this one more time so you can see it clearly. You can also see sort of I wouldn't call it a grimace, but like an unsatisfied, uncomfortable look on her face. Look at, she's not happy with Donald Trump being a few feet away because remember, Trump put not only Mike Pence, but their daughter in direct danger. Their daughter was at the Capitol that day, and she was scared for her life. They wrote about this extensively in their book, but let's continue to watch what happens because it only gets more interesting. I mean, in my opinion, it's always pretty insane or bizarre to see Trump and Obama interacting, especially Trump and Pence interacting given their history. But you see in a second, Obama walks on frame. He shakes the hands of former presidents, vice presidents. You see Al Gore right there. You see Vice President Mike Pence. Then he sits down next to Obama, and they begin chatting here for a while. They were chatting for about 10 minutes. And honestly, I think Trump has this inherent urge to be liked by everybody. He's incredibly egotistical. Even Trump supporters will admit that. So he has this urge to just be liked by everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to be liked by Obama. Let's continue to watch. They continue to talk for a while. Melania seems uninterested as always. She doesn't want to be there. There's another clip right here that's going especially viral where Trump makes Obama laugh. And I get that people are going to say, hey, why does he have to laugh when he also thinks Trump is a threat to democracy? But again, it's out of respect for Jimmy Carter. It's not out of some respect for Trump. It's because they are at Jimmy Carter's funeral. They know that they have the cameras on them. Of course they know that there are cameras on them. So Obama is going to be cordial so that Jimmy Carter's funeral isn't hijacked by Obama being or just sitting there like a stone.
And most of them were in the same room. Was in 2018 at the funeral of George H.W. Bush. President Trump was in office then. One person missing from this is Michelle Obama.
And a lot of people are also saying, why was Trump even invited to this funeral? It's naive to think that they're just going to not invite the president-elect. We have to ground ourselves in reality. Even this clip of Trump and Mike Pence meeting shows how much the power dynamics have shifted over the past 4 years. Remember, Mike Pence used to be Donald Trump's vice president, his second in command, and he was loyal to Trump throughout all 4 years. But now he's essentially been reduced to irrelevance in today's Republican Party simply because Trump demands complete loyalty and Mike Pence decided to certify the results of a free and fair election in 2020, which I guess is enough to get you kicked out of the Republican Party. Even Mike Pence tried to wage a primary against Trump about a year back, and he was one of the first to drop out because the Republican Party has now fully embraced this brand of MAGA politics, which we need to be addressing. I want to play a clip of Jason Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandson, saying some incredibly sweet things. But just to zoom out for a second before we get to the serious eulogy part of it, I have been genuinely pissed off over the past few days, and I'm ready to bring some fire to this political sphere because honestly, right now the left lacks the punch that it needs to effectively strike back during a second Trump era. And of course, we have a lot of good knife fighters out there. I think Gavin Newsom, even though he's going through a lot right now, is an amazing person on camera to battle Trumpism. AOC, another great person on camera. We need more quote-unquote political knife fighters, people who aren't just going to roll over and be reactionary to Donald Trump. So over the past few days, they've been using a lot of rhetoric about Canada, about Greenland, about the Panama Canal. And while the rhetoric itself pisses me off, of course, I'll get into that in a second, the broader context around it also pisses me off, because do you know how many times Trump supporters and even the biggest MAGA pundits were pissing and shitting and crying themselves because we said that they were fascistic or they had a fascistic strain to the party, especially after January 6th, especially after Trump's rhetoric about the media. It is incredibly fascistic, but they said, no, don't call us that. You lost the election because you called us that. Meanwhile, about a month later, they are talking about their imperial ambitions to invade the Panama Canal. They can't rule out military coercion against Greenland, which is part of Denmark, one of our NATO allies, one of the founding members of NATO, and I haven't even gotten to the Canada part, which is also equally as disgusting. So now they're saying, hey, you call this fascist, maybe we are a little bit fascist, but the worst part is Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, their entire defense is that they're all just trolling. It's all one big troll, but it's not funny. You can't undermine our alliances on the global stage and then say it's just a troll. It's not a funny troll. In fact, it's quite damaging, quite devastating to the alliances that we've spent decades building up, and now these MAGA fucks come in here and uproot all of that. They are uprooting our personal relationships, and then they gaslight us when we say this is not a cool thing to say. It's not okay to say. They're like, bro, we're just joking. We're just trolling you. And then when we're like, okay, are they trolling? They continue to reinforce this rhetoric about imperialism, about Greenland or the Panama Canal needing to be taken over. It's all just incredibly frustrating, and something that I'm going to do over the next month, over the next year or 4 years is be a lot more fierce with my rhetoric, with my debates. I know that I'm already pretty quick in these debates when I do them with MAGA on the field, but it's going to be a different vibe now that we're actually in a Trump era. There should be nothing stopping us from metaphorically going for the jugular over the next 4 years and just being fierce against Republicans, because sometimes, to be honest, I feel like the Democratic Party is lacking the punch that it needs. I mean, I'm sure most of you agree that the Democratic Party's messaging is quite weak sometimes, and the Democratic Party is lacking the punch, and that allows Trump to basically bully us, to kick us over and over, and all we're stuck doing is saying, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he said something mean to us again. No, it's time to bully back. It's time to be assholes back. Drop a like and subscribe if you agree with that. And I want to differentiate. You don't need to be an asshole to your coworker just because they're a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump. These are the people that we need to win over when Trump inevitably ruins the country or starts World War III or ruins the economy. You want to leave some space so you can have these people pulled back to the middle and reject Trumpism. What we need to do is bully the MAGA pundits, bully the MAGA politicians. It's time for the Democratic Party to strike back. That doesn't mean you should be just a complete asshole to the everyday people who we actually need to win back over on our side. And really quickly, before I play this clip, some people in my comments are under the impression that all 70 million people who voted for Trump are basically Nazis or part of the KKK. That is a defeatist, losing mindset. If you think that everyone that voted for Trump is beyond repair, if you think every Republican that voted for Trump is beyond repair, that is a losing mindset, and I'm glad that you're not near the Democratic Party strategy, because these are people that we have to win back. These are voters that we have to win back eventually, especially the people at the edges there. So if you're going to be alienating the people at the edges and saying that they're all Nazis, that's not a winning strategy. The winning strategy is to show how weak the politicians themselves are, how weak people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool are. They have to rely on Russia money, and then they use Russian talking points and claim they are America first. Trump is inevitably going to fuck up big time over the next 4 years, and we have to be there. We have to meet the moment and show Americans that this dude's not putting America first. And there are consequences to rolling the dice and voting for just an absolutely insane person. So let's jump into this clip. It's a tribute by Jason Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandson. Then I'll return to more political analysis. Sorry for that rant. I've just been thinking a lot about the Democratic Party strategy, and I think we should all be able to agree that if the Democratic Party did have a strong strategy that really connected with the average voter, that was powerful, then we wouldn't have lost to Trump twice. We wouldn't have lost twice. And the election also wasn't stolen. Stop saying it was stolen. Let's watch this clip, a tribute by Jason Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandson, because it's pretty great.
As president in the 1970s, as you've heard, he protected more land than any other president in history. 50 years ago, he was a climate warrior who pushed for a world where we conserved energy, limited emissions, and traded our reliance on fossil fuels for expanded renewable sources. And by the way, he cut the deficit, wanted to decriminalize marijuana, deregulated so many industries that he gave us cheap flights and, as you heard, craft beer. Basically, all of those years ago, he was the first millennial. And he could make great playlists, as we've heard as well.
Great moment right there. Why don't we check out President Biden giving a speech?
You know, we have an obligation to give hate no safe harbor and to stand up to what my dad used to say is the greatest sin of all, the abuse of power. That's not about being perfect, because none of us are perfect. We're all fallible, but it's about...
I like how the camera cuts to Trump right when he's talking about the abuse of power. It almost looks like Biden's looking in that direction as well. But great speech from Biden. Bush seems to be falling asleep over here, unfortunately. But either way, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.